As going on, Mike the Caveman Q here again, and we have a very special episode of Ask Mike the Caveman. This will be episode 200. So we're going to be going live, doing the live stream Q&A. So just going to wait for a little bit, see who comes on, and what kind of questions we get. So again, those of you who may not know, I do a live video. I do a video every single day regarding health and fitness and lifestyle. So basically, just ask me anything related to that, and I'll do the best I can. We'll see how long this goes, how interested people are, and keep it rolling. Hey, money first. How you doing? How you doing, Susanna? Stephanie? Hey, Norman. How you doing? So I'm pretty sure it's a little bit of a delay in terms of when you guys come in and comment or something. So just whatever you want to talk about, health related, like we said. So, Mike, how do you feel about essential oils? It's a great question, Susanna. Essentially, depends on what we're looking at it for. If we're talking about actual stress relief, then it's going to be amazing. There are some that have a little bit of clinical evidence regarding helping, but not necessarily treating disorders. So things like frankincense, myrrh have some interesting stuff regarding cancer, but more often than not, I like them for the purposes of dealing with stress. Things like lavender and like that. All right. What else we got? Oh, come on. I can't be the only one with questions. No problem, Susanna. You got anything else for me? And where's Joe? Joe said he's going to be on, and I know he's at the gym right now, but... Bill, what do you got? So, what's a good source of caffeine that's healthy for you? So, your best sources of caffeine are going to be coffee, chocolate, and tea. All right. So all three of those are going to have some awesome benefits. They are rich in antioxidants. Now, they have something of a bell curve. What that means is up to a certain point, they're going to have benefit. After that, not so much. Now, that's specifically most commonly we're talking about coffee. Up to about 2, maybe 3 cups a day, we see some tremendous benefit. After that, we see a little bit of a downturn. So things like actual 100% cacao and green, black, and herbal teas, probably not going to be a problem. But in terms of coffees, after about 2 or 3, if you're sensitive to coffee, probably even less, like 1 or 2 will probably be good. But beyond that, you're ready to rock. Hey, Felicia. Hey, Chris. How you doing? Tori, what's up? So, like we said, just shooting out questions. I'll be happy to answer them real quick. See what we can do. So we got Susanna's question done. We got Bill's question done. Let's get another one going. Pop right in here. I'm just gonna grab some water while we wait for another question to come in. The little lag on the questions too, when I see it, is kind of annoying, but what can you do? We're talking through space. While I wait for another one coming, I'll just build off of that caffeine question we had before. Where you shouldn't be getting a healthy source of caffeine is definitely not energy drinks, the caffeine gels. There's too much other crap that's added to them that it's not going to be a good source. And actually, my friend Nick had to ask me about that. I might actually do that maybe tomorrow's video on energy drinks. I was considering that. So it's actually pretty funny that you asked me that, Bill. So far we talked about essential oils, talked about caffeine. Just waiting on another question. We ready to go? Is alkaline water good for you? Now, I actually did that one the other day. And when we're talking about alkaline water, in terms of it being purified, it's excellent for you. In terms of it actually doing something, probably not. So the idea of alkaline water being able to make your body alkaline you have to get through the stomach acid first. And if you drink enough alkaline water to actually change the alkalinity of your blood, you would destroy yourself. You would cause serious gastrointestinal distress because your stomach acid would be gone. Pathogenic bacteria can back up all the way from your colon to your small intestine to your stomach. No good. So while it's a good purified water, probably not a great idea in terms of just being the only source of water you're actually going to be drinking. Hey, got some likes coming in. All right. So Stephanie, best food for dogs. And the answer is meat, raw. So raw meat, as a dogs, and even particularly cats, because they're actually obligate carnivores, the two of them are designed to eat meat, particularly raw, because they have more enzymes, they have more rich stomach acid. They'll be able to break it down no problem. So cheap cuts of meat, ideally grass-fed if you can afford it. If you can't, they'll be all right. So just buy some real meat, and you don't even have to cook it. Yeah, Sick Vic, that's right. How you doing, brother? All right. Hey, exactly. Thanks, Michael. Raw food saved his dog's life. All right. So, hey, what's up, John? What's up, Bri? Yeah, your dogs probably would love that shit. That's right, Sick. So, Susanna, all right. Do you think protein powder is a hoax? Because my nutrition teacher said that your body can't absorb all that protein, and you should just get your protein from your food after you train, not protein powder. So that does get into a little bit of a squirrely point. Your teacher is somewhat correct. So let's be clear. If we're talking about protein powder, we want a quality source of it. So we're talking about either beef protein isolate, egg white protein isolate. We could be talking about some grass-fed whey protein. If you are sensitive to any of those, beef would probably be the least allergenic. But if you are sensitive to all of those, there are potentials for some sprouted rice and some pea protein if you absolutely had to. That being said, protein is going to be your best bet from a real food source. But in terms of that post-workout window, you're going to be able to absorb it. Now, I'm not saying go and drop down like 3-4 scoops. You can if you're a bigger guy. You don't necessarily need to. So 1-2 scoops of a quality protein and you'll be fine. You will be able to absorb that protein. It won't be a problem. Your body, ideally, if it was a hard workout, broke down that muscle tissue. It broke down. It needs amino acids to basically replenish that. So a quality protein powder after a workout will be fine. Okay. Hey, what's up, Brandon? What's up, Audrey? How you guys doing? So let's see. We now covered essential oils, talked a little bit about caffeine, healthy sources, talked about alkaline water, best food sources for dogs, and a couple of those we actually did full videos on, and I'll actually put links to those in the comments after we get off live. But we talked about protein powders. I definitely did a video on that one too. Hey, Michael, thanks for sharing the video. I definitely appreciate that. So yeah, let's get another question going. All right. For someone who shouldn't be eating wheat, is quinoa okay? That's a great question. Susanna's killing it with the questions right now. So, in terms of quinoa is not a grain. It's a pseudo grain. It's kind of a fruit, kind of a seed, but it's one of those where if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. So, if you are somebody whose gut is really healthy, you can probably get away with it. If your gut is not healthy, if you have some immune dysregulation going on, it might not be the best. Because while it doesn't have gluten in it, obviously, people can't do wheat, can't do gluten more often than not. There are other components, but we'll just use that for now. Quinoa does contain a prolamine that is similar. It's not as bad. If you prepare it properly, you soak it, sprout it, ferment it, definitely going to be better off, but not the worst, not the best, unless you absolutely need to have that. You're going to go off wagon. If you can't have quinoa, you'll probably be all right with it. If you have severe gut distress, I probably wouldn't do it. Okay, so money first, you got, if you rarely eat vitamins, what should you start with? Are we talking about foods that are rich in vitamins, or are we talking about what vitamins to supplement with? That's two different things. I'll come back to that when we get there. Okay, Michael says, what's your opinion on properly prepared, soaked, cooked, and from dry, etc. beans as a food source? So, talking about what we just said regarding the quinoa, regarding soaking, sprouting, fermenting. When it comes to beans, we're talking definitely what your status is. If you have an unhealthy gut, they are likely going to be a source of FODMAPs, the raffinose in it. You know, we test that with the GI test over Rebel Health for a reason. We don't break down raffinose very well. We don't have the enzymes for it. We don't really have bacteria that can break it down. But when you soak and sprout it, you can do pretty well. So there definitely is some clinical evidence regarding the benefits of beans. You know, if you enjoy them, if you don't have any negative digestive upset, yeah, you can include it occasionally. I wouldn't make it the bulk of my diet, but definitely some possibilities. I still personally generally avoid it. I'm more apt to include some white rice and even some corn, as crazy as it may seem, if I'm out to eat and kind of just understand that I'm going to deal with some garbage afterwards. Vic, what's the question, bud? You got a lot of question marks and a lot of huhs? Help me out. What are you confused about? Probably everything I'm saying. That usually happens to everybody I talk to, but hopefully I'm making somewhat of sense. Let's see, Stephanie. Can you elaborate on why extremely low-carb diets might be counterintuitive for gut health? So, there we get into a little bit of a give and take, because really low-carb diets can starve out pathogenic bacteria, pathogenic yeast. So, what we do is... Vic used a lot of ketones. You could definitely do some ketones. regarding starving out pathogenic overgrowths, so bacterial or yeast overgrowths, going super low carb is a great idea. The problem with that is those beneficial bacteria need to eat something too, and more often than not, our good bacteria eat that fiber and not really sugar, but more resistant starch and fiber are the primary source for our good bacteria. So we're going to want to eliminate the sugary stuff, but include some resistant starch, include some non-starchy vegetables. So if we're focusing on our gut health, some things like cooked and cooled rice, cooked and cooled white potatoes, so your starches like that, depending on where you are in it, maybe some raw potato starch, tapioca starch, some raw plantains, things like that. You're also going to want to look at definitely properly prepared green leafy vegetables, Brussels sprouts, all the brassica, things like that, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, etc. But again, those can be FODMAPs, so it takes some individual tweaking, which I know, Steph, you know all too well. Okay, so what to start with supplementing wise on vitamins? That's what you were asking about, Bill. Okay, so in terms of vitamins, I don't necessarily like supplementing vitamins and minerals in isolation. There are a lot of competitions, there are a lot of synergies, meaning they work together, they work against each other. And I've worked with Calp Nutrition for a long time because I really do believe in what they've brought to the table. And if you are considering supplement vitamins, I definitely would look into nutrients first. That's Nutrience. Definitely love nutrients. I've seen a lot of benefit for myself. I've seen a lot of benefit with people I work with. It's definitely the best multi on the market. And if you're looking for just general sufficiency in all of them, and then you actually eat a healthy diet on top of that, it's definitely your best bet rather than trying to supplement in isolation unless we're dealing with a specific condition. That's a little bit different. Okay, so get Vic on the tones. Okay, what are you talking about with the protein? All right, so Vic, what we're saying is Susanna's question was, are you able to actually digest protein after working out? And the answer is yes. In fact, you're probably going to digest it a little better in the sense that it's already there. There's nothing else. There's no fat. There's no fat to break down, and it's already in a form where it's going to get digested pretty quickly. The problem is there's that general myth that floats around that you can't digest more than 30 grams at a time, and I don't buy the evidence. I haven't seen enough evidence to actually believe that. It's really more of a bro science thing, and provided it's a quality protein, it shouldn't be a problem. So the sources I mentioned before, beef protein isolate, egg protein isolate, if we're talking about a quality grass-fed whey protein, if you're not sensitive, and most people really aren't sensitive to whey when it comes to dairy. They're more sensitive to casein, they're more sensitive to lactose. So quality whey protein, if any of those don't work or you're of the vegetarian vegan bent, a sprouted rice and or pea protein would be a great bet. Okay. Bill asks, are you eating skins of fruits all good? Are eating skins of fruits all good for you, like banana, kiwi, apple, peach, mango, etc.? I probably wouldn't recommend eating the skin of banana. Kiwi, yeah. Apple, peach, mango. Okay, so when it comes to fruits, let's talk about where we're going to want to prioritize organic and where it's not necessarily as important. If we are eating the entire fruit, you're going to want to make sure it's organic. If you are eating the entire thing, you're going to want to make sure it's organic. If you're peeling the peel off, particularly if it's a thick peel, it's not as consequential that it's organic because most of the time those pesticides aren't going to get through. You still want to prioritize organic, but for me personally, budgetary purposes, I prioritize organic, grass-fed, pasture-raised, wild-caught in terms of fish on my animals and my fats first, and then I prioritize my produce, so my vegetables and fruits that I'm eating whole that don't have a thick skin. So things like berries, those I definitely want to get organic. Things like citrus fruit, which I'm definitely going to eat the whole, I'm not going to eat the peel, those are okay. Those you can get away with conventional to save a couple of bucks here and there. Bananas, I definitely wouldn't be eating the skin. Kiwi, it's a little fuzzy, it's a little weird. Apples, definitely go with organic if you're going to eat the skin, otherwise shave it. Peaches, same thing, they're a little fuzzy on the outside. I don't know if I'm eating the skin. Mangoes, I honestly don't know if I've ever eaten the skin on a mango, but again, organic, etc., etc. All right, Giuseppe, what's up, Barley? We have cheese, and that's the question. I mean, if the question is cheese, the answer is always yes. But on a serious note, organic, grass-fed, pasture-raised, look for that. It's pretty much everywhere now. Kerrygold is a pretty solid choice in terms of just generic supermarkets. Places like Stop and Shop, ShopRite, Best Market, they're all going to have it. If you want to have a wider selection of grass-fed cheeses, you're going to want to head over to a Fairway or Wild by Nature or a Whole Foods. If you're prioritizing your budget, you're definitely going to want to look at Fairway. It definitely has the best prices, the best price points for what you're getting. And that, of course, is specific to my people here in the New York metro area. If you are outside of New York metro, Whole Foods, I don't really know. I mean, Trader Joe's had Kerrygold and stuff. Maybe somebody else can jump in with alternative sources outside of the New York metro. Okay. So Vic asks, but can I substitute protein powder for food protein? Okay. So you're gonna want to eat food more often than not, Vic. If you're gonna have 4 protein shakes and not eat any other protein, eggs or steak or bacon or any of those, then yeah, you probably shouldn't be doing that. If, however, we're talking about you just worked out and the option is go home, cook a steak, or drink a protein shake, the question really on that end was you'll be fine with having the protein shake. But if we're talking about replacing a steak dinner or eggs for breakfast with a protein shake every single meal, probably not the best idea. Hey, Mariana. Hey, Tavana. Hey, Jordana. How you guys doing? I saw Rob joined a while ago, but didn't really address people on that one yet. Let's see. Stephanie crushing it with the questions like Susanna. What's the most general diet recommendation you can give into regards to macronutrient balance for someone with severe hormonal adrenal dysfunction who gains weight easily? Macros. So, let's talk about that. Obviously, as you know, personally, I'm more on the low carb end. I think that people generally, that's a very general rule, do better on the low-ish carb end. However, that comes with a caveat that a lot of people actually don't do better on that way. Some people, based on their metabolic needs, do better on carbohydrates. Now, if we're talking about severe adrenal dysfunction, we're not talking about low carb. That's not a good idea. You do need some kind of carbohydrate intake. However, that does not mean that you go off the reservation. So your adrenals, part of the HPA axis. With that being said, you need some kind of carbohydrate intake to keep that going because your HPA is also linked to your HPT. So those two, your thyroid needs to have adequate carbohydrates for the conversion of T4 to T3. So in order for your thyroid hormones to work properly, you need that. If you want your adrenals to work properly, you need your thyroid working properly because there's negative feedback loops. I did a whole thing on that. But for our purposes right now, get in some quality carbohydrates, ideally in the form of some safe starches, as we mentioned before. Things like sweet potatoes, yuca, taro, white potatoes, sweet potatoes, if that's what we're talking about. Now, if we add the caveat to that of gaining weight easily, that's even more so why we don't want to go off the reservation on that. I would just keep the carbohydrate intake keep it moderated in the sense of eating it, but not necessarily going crazy. It doesn't mean eat 300-400 grams a day, but it does mean get some quality carbohydrates in. Okay, then I saw you added a addendum to that. I missed that. I.e. carbs, fats, proteins, cycling them, timing of. So it depends on what kind of training that we're talking about in terms of cycling them. If we're talking, there's a lot of, so I know you asked for general, there's a lot of different factors that we can add into to really dial that in. It is very individualized, but if you're working out, you're probably not working out too hard if you're talking about severe hormonal adrenal issues. Yeah, you're going to want to get the carbs after that anyway. Most times you're going to want your carbs after your workout. In terms of dealing with that, I would probably have some kind of carbohydrate, whether it's half a sweet potato, depending on how big the person is, half to a full sweet potato with, say, breakfast. Maybe some plantains with some fat, some lard, some duck fat during lunch. And then at dinner, maybe some white rice. Now, if you notice you're gaining weight, titrate back a little bit. Lower your carbs a little bit. All right. Hopefully that kind of answered. Always hippie BS there, Brian. Okay. Sick, thick, sweet. Dominic, kill it. Thanks, guys. Okay. Take energy or raw adrenal glandulars. Yeah, no, there's definitely some benefits and potential raw adrenals. That's definitely a possibility. I like the answer, Vic. Okay. Bill says, how can you eat healthy when you're fighting overseas or on vacation and don't know all the foods in the area? That's a great question. I don't think I've ever really tackled that specifically. I like it. So it's one of those things where don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. I've definitely talked about that concept before. And I talked about it kind of when we're talking about budgeting with organic versus non-organic produce. Make the best choices you can. If you're overseas and all you're going to get is sandwiches, then do what you gotta do, you know? And more often than not, maybe pull the bread off. If all you're going to get is pasta, then, you know, understand that you want to live. Humans are very adaptable. We are able to survive on things like grains, legumes, and non-conventional dairy. We've been able to do that for a long time. We are much better adapted than we were 10,000 years ago. So the whole paleo thing is a concept. It's a template. It's a baseline to give us an idea of what are we best adapted to. So we can survive on those foods. Things like grains. They helped propel the Roman Empire, right? The legionnaires on the road were able to eat lots of grains and, bread and circus for the poor folk. We live on it. We can survive on it. We're very adaptable. If we look at a lot of the different populations around the world, we can survive on things. What I'm trying to get us to do is to thrive. So if you're overseas, and I truly, thank you for people who are fighting overseas, those people need to make the best choices they can, but understand getting in something is better than nothing. Eat food. If it's not great food, doesn't matter. I'd rather you make it home alive to be able to thrive when you get home. So that's the answer to that one. Regarding essential oils, I did answer that, Brian. I like it for stress purposes more often than not. There is, there's some potential benefit to it. There's some potential antiviral, antibacterial for some of them. There is some interesting research when it comes to cancer on some of the other ones. So there's definitely something there. Is it going to be the cure for anything? Probably not. But is it hippie BS? The people that market it more often than not, yes. But the actual science behind it, not exactly. Okay, we have Giuseppe. Last one. Are nitrates going to affect ketosis? That's a great question. They really shouldn't affect your ketosis because nitrates, so that gets us into a little bit of a squirrely neighborhood. Nitrates are thought to cause cancer because they're converted to N-acetyl nitrosamines. Pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. Go call me out on it if you want. But yeah, nitrosamines is the basic term. There's a qualifier before that, but whatever. So nitrosamines are reasonably anticipated to be carcinogenic in humans. They are presumed to be because there's been clinical evidence in animals. But in terms of data in humans, it hasn't been conclusive yet. So, in terms of that being dangerous, we're looking at potential for cancer. I think that when we look at nitrates being dangerous in things like processed red meats, we're missing the boat. Because nitrates, there are going to be more nitrate there. There are going to be more nitrates in your plant foods. Celery root powder is used as the natural alternative to nitrates in bacon. Why? Because it's a natural source of nitrates. Nitrates are a storage form of nitrogen for plants. So what happens is when we're talking about nitrates in processed red meat being dangerous, I think we're really looking at the wrong case. It's not nitrates converting to nitrosamines that are a problem. I think we're looking at heavy metal toxicity because those nitrates they're adding to those processed red meats generally are contaminated by heavy metals. So I think that's the bigger problem. In terms of it affecting ketosis, nah. It has no effect overall on how your body's going to adapt to ketosis. Sick Vic, what's a good diet for really loud farts? That would be one, avoiding grains, legumes, and conventional dairy. The reason being, you want to focus on your gut health. And this is going to be a crazy thing. I haven't farted in 6 years. Growing up, I had the craziest farts. Like, can I get some likes for that one? Like, come on. But seriously though, avoid that stuff. Bad gas. Thank you, Vic. Bad gas is a result of improper breakdown. Think of it as your bacteria burping on you. Yeah, there's the likes flying now. Cool. So, bad gas is the result of improper breakdown of a food product. So that's where generally we'll see it after things like legumes, beans, good for your heart, make you fart, that fun stuff. So, nah, Giuseppe, I'm not kidding, 6 years, I swear. I've been eating an ancestral template since October of 2010. I'm telling you, man, it doesn't happen no more. So, that being said, actually digesting your foods and you're not going to have that gas. Now, there is the caveat on that too, that if you have way too much protein in one sitting, then yeah, that can happen too. It's a matter of how much you can break down. Okay? So, if you don't like taking, Bill asks, if you don't like taking painkillers, what's another source to help pain that might be healthier, or are painkillers the way to go? I've tackled this one on like 4 or 5 videos, and I'll put links to those in the comments afterwards, but essentially, they are not the way to go. Particularly if we're talking about opioid painkillers, they are going to cause more harm than good. So, yes, Vic, if you go healthy, you're no more farts. And yeah, it is a crying shame, I guess. I don't know. But opioid painkillers are destroying our population right now. So opioids, I have a video on alternatives to opioid painkillers. I have a video on alternatives to NSAID or non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. I have a video on alternatives to corticosteroids. So all of those, no good. Now, what are your best alternatives? You're good depending on what we're looking at. Are we looking at an internal pain? Are we looking at an external pain, musculoskeletal? Are we talking about bone? So each one of those is going to be a slightly different answer. But in the end, things that will deal with systemic inflammation are going to be a great idea. So balancing your omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, eating more wild-caught fish, more grass-fed ruminants. Those are cows. Those are bison, elk, deer. Eat more of that. Eat less of grains, legumes, grain-fed animals, because those are higher in omega-6 as well. Now, if from there, that's the food end. From there, other things you're going to want to look at are turmeric and piperine, which is black pepper. Those together work incredibly well in terms of inflammation. Synchro Gold is one that I love for that. Next up from there is, of course, the CBD oil. CBD is incredible. I've been seeing amazing results regarding that. In terms of other natural painkillers, things like white willow bark, if we're talking about headaches, things like kratom are incredible as well. And people are actually using that to reduce opioid addiction, because the receptors it hits the mu opioid receptors, which are somewhat unique to kratom. So super awesome stuff there. So opioid painkillers, not the way to go. So from there, let's see what we got. We got yeah, calling BS on these 6 years. Best way to fight chronic systemic inflammation. I think I kind of answered that stuff with my answer for Bill regarding the painkillers. But in terms of that, eat real foods, focus on your gut, and take some natural anti-inflammatories. The CBD, kratom, turmeric, piperine extract. Ginger, I didn't mention ginger, but ginger's a great one as well. Okay, let's see. Hey, what's up, Mega Mike? Okay, what would you recommend for someone preparing for major hips replacement? Best way to stay healthiest through the process. Okay, so are we talking about how to prepare in terms of recovery afterwards, or what do you get? Spell that out a little bit more, Tavana. May help me out with that a little bit. I'm looking for what you mean. If just shooting from the dark here, shoot from the hip, I would say look at anti-inflammatories, kind of things we were just talking about. I would definitely consider some Fibrenza as well, particularly after the surgery. I would definitely be doing Fibrenza to help with the prevention of scar tissue buildup, so it can heal as quickly as possible. And for those of you who don't know, I mean, I did the whole video on it, but Fibrenza is a brand of systemic enzymes, meaning they are digestive enzymes to help with the breakdown of food, but they are ones that will actually break down fibrous clots, whether we're talking about circulatory issues or we're talking about buildup of scar tissue. Best way to fight migraines, Bill asks. And Tavana, definitely spell that question out a little more, and I'll try and answer that a little better. But for Bill, best way to fight migraines. Covered that one a couple of times too, but definitely diet. I would minimize foods that contain tyramines. I'll put a link to that video to explain what the hell that means a little better. But you're going to want to avoid foods that contain high tyramines, histamines. You're also going to want to potentially consider some white willow bark. White willow bark is the herb that they based aspirin on. It contains salicylic acid, and that will actually help break down pain. CBD oil, kratom, I've seen incredible benefits with that in terms of pain. So similar to the other painkiller questions, CBD, turmeric, ginger, piperine, as well as kratom and white willow bark, great stuff. Can you put fire cream on a bruised heel? Absolutely, Susanna. The fire cream, if we don't know, is the cream that my father and I both invented. Well, he invented it, I perfected it. And regarding the fire cream, essentially, it's going to be good for anything, whether it is bruising, whether it's musculoskeletal, whether it is joints, ligaments. So pretty much anything, you're going to see reductions. And that, I kind of glossed over that before to Bill's question in regards to alternatives to painkillers. And yeah, for topical application, fire cream is hands down the best. So definitely go that way. And what's up, Nick? I'm glad to see you join us. I actually mentioned you earlier, so you'll have to go back to the beginning and catch that. But we actually discussed your energy drinks a little bit in terms of the healthiest sources of caffeine. But Sick Vic, this is amazing. Thanks, brother. Let's see. Make your 191 AA go up. I'm really not sure what you mean by that, man. Okay, what if you want to get buff, gain mass? what would you recommend besides just eating a bunch of crap? I recommend you check out yesterday's video, episode 199, which is how do I gain weight? Short answer, as weird as it's gonna be, focus on your gut and eat more food. Because you want to make sure you're actually getting in your nutrients. You want to make sure you're actually breaking everything down. Because if you're not breaking those foods down, you're not going to get it through. You're not going to get your vitamins and minerals in. You're not going to get your protein into your muscles. So regarding Susanna's question before about actually absorbing that protein, yeah, if you can't break it down, you're not going to get anything in. So that's the key. Actually digest your food and you'll be ready to rock. So if you want to gain mass, eat lots of food. I know I'm the anti-calorie guy, but eat some calories. Okay, Tavana. Right now, he's using Fibrenza, Megaspore, and Synchro Gold. Just wondering, what can we do to ensure we get it right as far as protecting his gut after the antibiotics and make sure we are doing the best for his inflammation? Honestly, or is there anything else we're missing? Honestly, that's pretty on point right there. I know that you're a big fan of Rebel Health, and that's a great resource. So those of you who are listening live or who are listening to the broadcast afterwards, if you are not on Rebel Health, that's a mistake. Now, I am a contributor over there, so obviously a little bit of self-promotion on that, but my good friends Michael Roslin and Joe Rignola are some of the best, and they have such a great passion for health, which people seem to tell me I might, I don't know. But they are incredible. They have some of the best resources available. And yes, Fibrenza, Megaspore, Synchro. If it's possible to get CBD involved in there, I would probably look at that as well for similar purposes. In terms of protecting, well, because CBD has gut modulating properties plus anti-inflammatory properties, obviously. So in terms of stress on the body, same thing. It can actually help deal with your adrenals and your serotonin. It helps to modulate your adrenergic and your serotonergic receptors. So, in terms of dealing with inflammation, dealing with stress, dealing with the gut, you're on the perfect right track. Get some CBD in there if you can, and you'll be ready to rock. I'd be very surprised if we didn't see a very successful return. So, definitely awesome. Susanna, healthiest vegetables to eat when you're having underactive thyroid. So yes, that's where things are swirl. You want to avoid foods that are high in goitrogens, things that have things that can negatively affect your thyroid. So we're talking about things like spinach, kale, things like that. So in terms of other vegetables that you can eat that are not goitrogenic, we're going to want to look at things like, it gets into a squirrely area because they're technically fruits, but looking at things like squashes, looking at things, even at the starchier end, like carrots, because in the case of a thyroid, we want to make sure that we are getting in some carbs. So things like the starchier carbs, carrots, yucca, taro, plantains, which again, some are fruits, sort of, but who cares about botany, honestly. We have some CBD. We initially tried it for his pre-pain. We'll definitely get back to it. Thank you. Absolutely. I'm glad that I can help you on that. So it looks like we got ready at 40 minutes right now. And you guys have had some amazing questions. I think I'm going to go another 5 minutes. We'll go 45 minutes. That way it's going on to take a bunch of... What's the energy you keep talking about, Vic? But let's try and get our last questions in. We're going to go 45 minutes. That way it's not too insane. And I'm going to post this up on YouTube afterwards again, too. That way people that aren't on Facebook can go and check it out and everything. Hey, Tony, what's up? So we're looking at our last couple of questions. Let's go. Let's get 5 more minutes, a couple more questions going. I got a couple people requesting on Facebook. I don't know if is it set to private or not, because I'm getting requests from people, and perhaps I had it set to private. This is my first Facebook Live, so maybe I screwed it up and it's set to private. People who wanted to come actually can't. Whoops. I'll make sure that afterwards it's not set to private. So, what's up, you? So yeah, last couple of questions, guys. I know some of you may be submitting them right now. This is the lag in terms of questions, but we definitely tell them to follow. Okay, yeah. Cool. We'll definitely do. I'll keep that in mind for the future. Thanks a lot, Vic. Yeah, so let's look at last couple of questions. Does caffeine negatively affect the gut? And it can. So the reason being is that caffeine is a stimulant, meaning it affects the adrenals. Now, we talked about the HPA axis before a little bit, so it's your hypothalamus, pituitary, and your adrenals, which I didn't clarify that before, so let's say it now. So your HPA axis has major role in your gut. Stress, major role in your gut. If you are overly stressed, if your HPA axis is overly worked, you're gonna have a problem. So, depending on your individual metabolism rate, if you are a fast metabolizer when it comes to caffeine, probably not that big of a deal if we're talking 2, maybe 3 cups a day. Excuse me. If we're talking 2, maybe 3 cups a day. Once we get beyond that, then we have a problem. Coffee and caffeine in particular has a bell curve. Up to about 2 or 3 cups a day, good. After that, we start to see a bit of downturn. All right. What would you say to somebody who is tired? Why didn't you just tell me about the energy before, man? What would you say to somebody who is tired and doesn't have a lot of energy? They need energy to be like, woo! Yes, Vic, I know where you're going with that. What should they do? They should probably start eating real food, focus on their sleep, focus on their stress. And Brian talking earlier about essential oils being hippie BS. Yeah, they could definitely be looking at hippie BS in the sense of meditative practices to help reduce stress. But yes, Tavana, that is exactly where I was going to go next. You're going to want to look at either producing ketones endogenously, so getting into a ketogenic diet, or supplementing with ketones. Someone who is completely shot will definitely see awesome benefit from supplemental ketones like Keto OS. And I'll definitely put a link to that in your comments as well. So I think we got a lot of good things that we can comment on and build off of later. Some of them are things I've covered before, but hey, you might miss that one. I've done 200 now. Insane. Yeah. Okay. No, not raspberry ketones. Do not listen to the Wizard of Oz, all right? Just turn the Wizard of Oz off, all right? He sold out a long time ago. We're talking about exogenous ketones, basically coconut oil on steroids, without the steroids. Okay. Susanna, is there a specific good time to eat yogurt? Because I saw somebody on Facebook one time, but best times to eat certain food because of their acidity and whatnot. I can't remember what they said. Yogurt was, I want to know what you thought about that. That brings us back to Bill's question about alkalinity versus acidity, and honestly, foods really aren't going to change your blood pH, okay? Baking soda is one of the few caveats to that because sodium bicarbonate, which is baking soda, bicarbonate is how we actually regulate our blood pH, or our blood acidity. It's one of the ways we do it. If we are too acidic, our body releases bicarbonate, and super high levels of sodium bicarbonate actually can raise it can raise your blood pH, make it more alkaline. So with that being said, what we can do with that, I really wouldn't worry about the acidity of the food. It's not something to be concerned about. Best time to eat yogurt, when you want it. That's your best time. Hey, Al Percy, Russell, what's up, guys? And love you too, Russell. Again, we got more people coming on now. More people popping on late, and we're 45 minutes in. I was gonna shut it down right now, but maybe a couple more minutes. You got any questions for me, guys? Maybe I'll drag it to an hour. Crazy. I was expecting to be on here like 5 minutes, but everybody had such amazing questions. So, thank you, Susanna. All right, I'm gonna grab some water and see what other questions you got. So we got a couple more people on, so. Hey, Nancy. So yeah, with this, like I said, it seemed like this was pretty popular. Maybe I'll do these slightly more often. I wanted to do something special because it was the 200th. I've been doing the daily ones like a psycho every day, I don't know that I would do a live one every single day, but you know, maybe get it going. Depends on what you guys think. Yeah. Okay. Best food for skin health. Great question, Steve. So, in terms of dealing with your skin health, you're gonna want to focus on your gut. I always say it's crazy, I know, but your gut and your skin are linked. The reason being, so if you're super sick, what generally happens? You get nausea, you get diarrhea, and super fun things happen, right? You also might sweat a lot, and you might get rashes. Why is that important? Well, what is your skin? It's actually one of the big, it actually is the biggest organ in our body. It is an excretory organ. We put things out through our sweat, toxins go out that way. We get toxins out through rashes. So essentially, it's a matter of how fast you want to get things out. The problem is our bacteria on our skin. If you have, well, depends on what you mean about skin health. If we're talking about rashes coming in, or we're talking about acne, either way, in terms of what the mechanism is, but either way, you focus on your gut, and we're not going to have as big of a deal. So, things for your skin, if we're talking about preventing blemishes and rashes and things like that, or if we're talking about making it nice, smooth skin and all that fun stuff, bone broth, gelatin, you're going to want to get a quality probiotic, and potentially some digestive enzymes or systemic enzymes, ideally, because you get both. So that's going to be your best bet there. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it. Susanna, how many times is a healthy amount of times to poop? That's a serious question. It absolutely is. And I love shooting the yes. When it comes to poop, depends on you, what you ate, and I have something that I work with. You know, I didn't invent it, to be very clear on this. It's something that I use, and anybody who's worth their salt in terms of nutrition, health, lifestyle, etc., uses it. It's the Bristol stool chart, and it's excellent for determining how the quality of your poop is. Now, in terms of number of times, you want to be having at least one a day. You need to be getting it out. 2, 3. If you have one every other day, not ideal, but as long as they're coming out nice and smooth, ready to rock. So you don't want it to be too watery. You don't want it to be little rabbit pellets. Just quality poops. No likes for my poops? Come on. Let's get some hearts for that one. All right. If you don't know, if you're new to Facebook like Steve, you can just tap the screen so give me some hearts, some likes. Awesome. All right.
Great resource.
Oh man, me like an idiot when just opened up my own video on my iPhone. Cool. All right. So get some little background feedback. Yeah, I mean we're closing on the hour mark. Let's try to finish this up. Any last questions? Last ones. Apple cider vinegar, should you take it every day? And I don't see a reason why you shouldn't. It's kind of like pretty much any other fermented type food. Not really a problem. Now, if I said I will put it into salads again. In terms of if you have apple cider, okay. If you have acid reflux, gastrointestinal reflux disorder, then yeah, you're definitely gonna want to take it every single day. If we're talking about just adding to our food for general benefit, I'll make salad dressing. I'll do half olive oil or half skinny fat olive along with half apple cider vinegar, and I'll add a whole bunch of spices to that. Then yeah, I see no problem doing that every day. Depending on what you're dealing with, yeah, no problem. I'm live on my iPad, Vic. I have my iPad set up, nice folded over like a little tripod almost. But when I record my videos every day, just behind the scenes, I use an actual tripod, which I started roughly, episode 70 something, maybe 100 even. I actually invested in a cheap little tripod on Amazon. Up until that point, this is actually how I always recorded it. I had the front-facing camera folded up towards me, and yeah, pretty low budget. All right. Russell, you pop on, tell me you love me. You got no questions for me, though? Come on, bud. What you got for me? Awesome. So yeah, let's start wrapping it up, and then we'll call it an episode 200. I mean, you guys did pretty awesome in terms of your questions. You really threw them out at me. Hopefully, I answered them well enough for you. Hopefully, it wasn't too confusing. I know Vic was a little confused before with the protein, but I think we got through finally. I wasn't too obtuse. How often? Okay, Steve asks, how often would you have to drink kombucha to promote good bacteria? That's the devil's in the details. No problem. So, when it comes to fermented foods, unfortunately, we are talking cubic buttloads. And yes, that's an industry term. But cubic buttloads of fermented foods to actually see a change in the population, your resident microflora. That being said, it has benefits for the gut besides outright colonization. So the bacteria and yeast in that kombucha probably aren't going to be the ones that actually end up staying in your colon. But they produce vitamins, they produce enzymes, and those can actually help with your digestion. They can help with your apparently I can't say digestion. I can't imagine how many times I've said digestion in my life, and can't say it right now. So yes, they can actually improve, wait for it, your digestion. Yeah. And what they can do is they can actually go and they can allow for your other things to get through. So they can improve both your digestive lining, your gastrointestinal tract, and they can go and ensure that you have adequate nutrition through vitamin K2, some of the B vitamins. So they'll make sure those get in there, but they aren't going to recolonize your gut. Hopefully that made sense, despite all my fumblings. But that being said, if you actually want to change it, make sure you're getting in a quality probiotic, something like Megaspore Biotic, because as we've talked about ad nauseum on that topic, the fact that it's in a spore form, what essentially is going to happen is it's going to travel through that stomach acid, which we talked about before. It's going to make it through the small intestine, and it's going to show up in your colon. Think like mold spores. So essentially, they're hanging out in your basement, and they're hanging out, hopefully not your basement, but they're hanging out there, and they are just dormant. They're not doing anything until it's time to come out and proliferate. And that's essentially what Quality Probiotic Megaspore will do, is that it will be waiting in that jar, inside of its capsule. It's going to hang out. When it actually gets to your colon, it goes through the stomach, through everything, and when it actually gets there, it's going to say, hey, this is where we belong. And it's going to come out, it's going to proliferate. So if you want to change your actual bacteria, that's the way to go. And hey, Nancy. Hey, Chris. What's up, guys? And thanks for joining. Thank you, Nancy. Sick Vic. What's good for... I was waiting for someone to go with this one. What's good for sex drive, like boners and stuff? Awesome, Vic. And I knew if anyone was going to come to it, I knew it was going to be you. I have a couple of videos where I discuss reproductive health, terms of testosterone, and if you want to get boners and stuff, testosterone, get your levels up. I have a video on that, as well as circulation. That's probably even more important. Improve your circulation. So things like cayenne are excellent for that. Don't start rubbing icy hot down there, please. Don't do it. But internal, run up to Vitamin Shop, grab a couple of capsules of cayenne. From there, what you're going to want to do is actually work on circulation in other ways, things like systemic enzymes again. And no, sorry, Vic, not going to address that one. If you want to do that, you should probably figure it out yourself. There's whole websites for that. So, only you, Vic, only you. And yes, Kim, on the spores. Oh, God. I'm not going to feed the trolls on that one. Sorry, Vic. Yep. All right, guys. I said I was originally going to go 45 after 40 minutes. Like, oh, we'll go 45. And we'll go an hour. So now is the last 5 minutes. I'm definitely cutting it at an hour. So hopefully, last questions now for real. We are definitely ending this at an hour. We've covered 100 different topics probably by now. Hopefully, again, they're good for you. But hey, Patricia, what's up? Nice to see you on here. Last questions, though, guys. Maybe one or two more. Well, there's other ways that you can get around that. I hear that Craigslist used to be good. I don't know. Sorry, Vic. I'm not going there for you, bud. That you can figure out yourself. You're not 18 no more, man. You should have figured it out by now. Wait, I'll give you one answer for that, and the answer is coconut oil. That's the end of that conversation. I'm not going any deeper in that one. That was not right in the context of what we're talking about right now. Damn it. Hey, Jake, what's up, brother? So, yeah, like we said, we got like one or two more questions. Covered a lot of things. If you guys joined in late, you can always check the rebroadcast. This thing went a lot longer than I expected because the questions just kept rolling. So, I said, going on for another couple minutes. Last one or two questions. So, whoever pops in first, throw them out there. Let's get it going. Because every time I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna roll it out, and then the viewership like jumps right up. It's like, I guess we're gonna keep going, but I really can't go with longer than an hour. Hey, Nore, how you doing? Good for getting over a cold. All right, I like that one a lot, Vic. Thank you for bringing it back on the table. All right, so in terms of colds, I really love grapefruit seed extract, garlic, echinacea from Standard Process. That's the best echinacea I've seen. Depending on what we're looking at in terms of other things, if we're talking about headaches from there, fevers, white willow bark, really great there. What else in terms of actually fighting the cold, or if we're talking about feeling better in terms of general symptoms, things like horseradish, cayenne will help with clearing out mucus. In terms of actually dealing with the infection, things like Megaspore will be great as well, so quality probiotic. If we're trying to break up that mucus, things like Fibrenza, like we mentioned before, so C-Pros is one of the enzymes that you find in that, and that will actually go and act as an expectorant. In Japan, it's used as an expectorant for pretty much all lung conditions. So expectorants are things that can break up mucus and get it out of you. Hey, Nure, how you doing? In terms of preventing it, well, you keep changing the question, Vic. Come on, man. In terms of preventing it, make sure your immune system's on point. How do you do that? Focus on the gut, as usual. Probiotics, bone broth, gelatin, and the bone broth will be great during the cold, because actually, the very first article I put up on MikeTheCaveman.com, and you guys can help with there, subscribe, please. I'd greatly appreciate it. But the very first article I put up there when I launched that website was how hospital food used to be medicinal. And I talked about bone broth, Jello, so chicken soup, right? You have chicken soup when you have a cold. Why? Well, it has properties that make it medicinal. What else could you have in the hospital? Jello. Why? Gelatin, which is what Jello was before Jello was a thing, has medicinal properties. Things like yogurt, the probiotic benefit. It's not colonization probiotic, but the things that it produces, actual benefit. So, fermented foods, bone broth, focus on your gut, all that fun stuff. And, yeah, guys, I think I'm going to call it here. So, I truly appreciate everybody who popped on, everybody who asked questions. Amazing, super awesome stuff. I hope I helped you guys out. But if you can, please, if you give me some more likes on this, if you could head on over to either YouTube and follow me over on Mike the Caveman, I would greatly appreciate that. Over on Instagram too at Mike the Caveman, Twitter, same thing, everything's Mike the Caveman. If you give me a subscribe on MikeTheCaveman.com. I haven't really been posting too much over there lately because I've been doing the videos and stuff. I truly appreciate all the support you guys give me. And yeah, yes, Maddie, you are late to the party. Unfortunately, given the popularity of how this went today, I'm definitely considering maybe making this like a weekly thing, maybe Sunday nights. We'll see. Went pretty well, I like to think. And yeah, guys, again, thank you for taking out time tonight. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. And I'll make sure I drop some of those links and things I talked about in the video to your questions. That way you can look a little bit more in depth about specific questions. And for those of you who missed the live, make sure to check out the replay. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.